Okay, guys, I've been reading some more, and I want to. I want. Fuck. And I want to copy Wendy Suzuki on this one, because she writes, "I learned a valuable lesson that was going to serve me well for the rest of a career. The best way to learn something deeply is to teach others about it. I use that principle to this day." So that's the whole point why I'm creating those videos, or these videos. Because as the book continues from chapter 1 to chapter 2, she talks about her moving to Bordeaux in France. So after she had been studying in Berkeley, she figured that since she liked France so much, and since she had learned France as a second language in school, she could as well take a year off as an exchange student in France. And when she was in France, she still studied neuroscience, and she opened her eye up for this guy named François or Francius. I don't know. I'm not from France. But anyways, he was a piano tuner. And since she was a really shy girl, she played tennis, but she was a really shy girl. She couldn't even talk or speak to Francois, or at least she thought she couldn't do it. Because the family she was going to live with in France, they asked her to be home at a specific time because the piano tuner was going to come and fix the piano, because she played the piano, Wendy Suzuki played the piano, and yeah, basically they were just hiring this guy to tune the piano. And when she saw him, he was a really hot French guy, and she fell in love with him. And for the first time in her life, she states that she could flirt with guys. She could talk to guys. And also she could do it in French, which basically just opened her brain up, or her mind up, to believe in herself. She now believed that she could do it. And as the weeks and months went on, she still studied in France, studied the brain and neuroscience, and being with this Francois guy, she smelled, tasted, tried a lot of new foods. And she also goes on to write that whenever she tried something new, that would open up her brain to grow. So a different part of her brain would grow. And I'm pretty sure that it was the prefrontal lobe. No, it was the taste cortex brain hack. No, it was the taste cortex, which basically is the part of the brain that allows you to smell, taste. Yeah, you get the point. And also she tells about the motor cortex, which basically is the part of the brain that allows you to play like piano and fine-tuning your hand movements and gestures and everything like that. You also use that when you dance a lot. So basically what she tells you is that wherever you are in life, if you're a newborn, if you're old, if you're young, if you're a teenager, doesn't matter, is that your brain are able to grow if you just study new things, learn new things, try new things, explore. So it doesn't matter if you're curious or not. You just need to know that whenever you try something new, your brain grows in different parts. And she also goes on to tell about the time that she was going to move back to California, or to Berkeley, to take her last year and study and finish her degree. At that point she was 40 Francois's boyfriend, or they were a couple. So when she went back to California, she tried to keep the love alive. So she wrote him a lot of letters. But in the end, she had to call him and break up with him. And she tells that she felt this strong emotion when she did so. She felt like a piece of crap, basically. And she states that whenever you feel strong, like really strong emotions toward a person, or doesn't matter, whatever you do, then you're able to just remember everything so clearly, like where you sit, what you say, how the conversation goes, how everything is around you, because you're just impacted by all of these strong emotions inside your heart or brain. So basically, whenever you feel strong emotions, you're able to recognize the whole situations. Like, for example, if you have a brutal dream, then some dreams, they just fade away after a couple hours after you wake up. But if you feel something really strong that kind of sets a mark in you, then you're able to remember everything in detail, right? So that's kind of what she's trying to tell and teach us in the next chapter. And of course, her family didn't want her to bring Francois back to Berkeley, and Francois didn't know how to talk English, so he couldn't come, and that's the reason why they broke up as well. And then she goes on to talk about Dr. Diamond, which was her neuroscience teacher in many ways. And she says and states that she was a very shy girl, so she couldn't, or she didn't take the, she didn't try to get acknowledged by anything or anyone. So Dr. Diamond invited every student out to play tennis with her before school or before the class starts, and she never tried to play tennis with her. But as you know from the last story, Suzuki was a really good tennis player, so that's one of her biggest regrets. That states that her fear conquered her lusts, or her fear conquered what she really wanted to do. And what we can take from that is basically that a lot of people want to do a lot of certain things. They want to achieve a lot of things, but they never actually dare to go out and pursue their dreams because the fear conquers them. And that's a lesson you can learn, everyone watching this. And when she came back to Berkeley later, she continued to study because she had to choose herself before Francis. I don't know how to spell his name. And then we're suddenly into this brain, how your brain kind of likes listening to music, because every one of us has some kind of music that we just love to listen to because it makes sense to us, like emotionally. And if you want your musical kind of sense to grow, she tells you that you can go and listen to completely new music that you know nothing about, you don't know the language, you don't know the rhythm, nothing. And then you can try to analyze and understand what could make this music popular in this country, because you don't know anything about their language, you don't know anything about like their rhythm, their culture, nothing. And then you can try to learn. That's also when you go to a new country, try to understand why their culture is like it is and try to dive deeper into that. Then she states that your brain will continue to grow. It doesn't matter how old you are. And she gives a lot of hacks on page 38. And the one I found the most interesting was the cognitive brain hack. And that's basically how able you are to learn something new. And yeah, to learn something new you can do a lot of things. You can read, like I'm doing, and recreate the story to make it sit. You can listen to a podcast which you know nothing about the topic they are talking about. For example, you can listen to a financial podcast if you're into dance, and if you're into dance you can listen to a financial podcast, etc. So basically, if you want to learn a lot of things from this whole chapter, if you want to learn a lot of things, you have to just open your mind to the fact that it's so much more affecting us and trying to reach us than we know. So you just have to explore. If you just sit on your computer, that's also a way to learn a lot of things. If you try to dance, if you try to take a backflip, all those things, they help you improve towards becoming like a new person in real life, and in theory it has been proven. Your brain gets bigger. And then she also goes on to tell about the experiment of those London cab drivers, which basically the study was about the London cab drivers who passed the exam to become a cab driver, and the ones that didn't pass and didn't become a cab driver. And she tells and states that the difference between them is that the ones that went on to become a cab driver, they had a much bigger hippocampi than the ones who didn't pass the exam. And the reason why that is because she tells that the brain had to learn, I think it was around 25,000 different locations and streets with different names in London, which the brain had to recognize to become like, a cab driver. And if you didn't remember all of those, you didn't know where to go, right? So you understand kind of the motion behind it. So the ones who passed the exam, they had a much bigger hippocampi than before they started the graduation, the school or the taxi. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. So that's basically it from those chapters. And there's also a lot of brain hacks that only takes 4 minutes every day. If you want to know about them, I will tell them in another video. Or actually I can just tell them right now. So if you want to enrich your brain, for the motor cortex brain, you can just go wherever and try to learn a new dance move. Try to learn a backflip. Try to learn, I don't know, hand gestures. And for the taste cortex brain, try a new type of food. Smell a new type of food. Basically everything that's new kind of pushes you towards learning something new. And for the cognitive brain, you can watch a TED Talk, you can watch a podcast, you can read books. I usually do all of them, but remember to take them as is. Like focus on one thing at a time, because multitasking for humans is trash. For the visual cortex, you can go to a museum or you can study digital art, NFTs for example, that's a crypto thing right now, and you can try to understand why people like that piece of art, for example. And for the auditory cortex brain hack, as I said, go to Spotify and listen to completely new music. And for the olfactory brain, just smell. Use your nose. Thank you for watching this video. I'll update you once I read more. I hope you learned something. At least I did. Peace.